me honestly, Fever fans, have you noticed something off this season? Because Caitlin Clark didn't just walk into her second WNBA year, she stormed in with the weight of the entire league on her shoulders. Coming off a record-shattering rookie run with 19.4 points a night, leading the league in assists, and turning Indiana into the hottest ticket in women's basketball, yet somehow, instead of climbing, the Fever keep tripping over the same problems. And it's not because Caitlin's game has slipped, it's because there are 5 players on this roster who are quietly, but consistently choking the momentum, slowing the pace, killing the chemistry, and wasting the prime years of a once-in-a-generation star. And I'm counting them down from number 5 to the single most damaging player dragging this team down. So buckle in, because by the time we hit number 1, you might just see this team and a few of its biggest names in a completely different light. Number 5, Sydney Colson. When the Fever signed her back on the 5th of February, 2025, the vision was crystal clear. Bring in a veteran voice, a steady presence in the locker room, someone who could guide the younger players and keep the culture strong. And sure, off the court, she's that smiling, supportive, experienced teammate every coach wants. But the second the ball tips, it's like she disappears into thin air. In 28 games, she's giving Indiana just 2.5 points, 0.8 rebounds, and 2 assists in under 11 minutes a night. And those aren't just low numbers, that's a ghost stat line. She's almost never in crunch time lineups, and when she does get minutes, the hesitation is obvious. At 35, her game has slowed to a crawl, and for a team built on speed, sharp cuts, and constant ball movement, that's a momentum killer. Caitlin thrives when she's surrounded by guards who push the pace, take the open shot without blinking, and make quick, decisive passes. Colson dribbles too long, passes too late, and often turns an advantage into a dead possession. And the painful truth? Every minute she plays is a minute a young, hungry player sits and watches, waiting to bring the exact energy this team desperately needs. Number 4, Brianna Turner. And this one stings because the expectations were sky high. A former first-round pick, once known as a defensive force, a relentless rebounder, a shot-blocking machine, exactly the kind of player you want, setting hard screens for Caitlin Clark, rolling strong to the rim, and owning the paint. But that Brianna Turner, she's vanished. In 14 games this season, she's putting up 0.4 points, 0.9 rebounds, and 0.2 assists, while shooting a jaw-dropping 20% from the field. Let that sink in, those numbers aren't just bad, they're historically bad for a forward. She's barely played over 60 minutes all year, and when she's out there, it's like she's moving through the game on autopilot. No fight on the boards, no fire in her defensive rotations, no use of her size to make opponents uncomfortable. Her body language screams disengaged, and her defensive communication might as well be on mute. And for a team trying to maximize every second Caitlin's on the court, those wasted possessions aren't just a problem, they're a liability that could cost games. Number 3, Kelsey Mitchell. Now this one's gonna split the fan base, because on paper, she's a star. Since 2018, she's been Indiana's go-to scorer, the player you can count on to get a bucket. Last year, she averaged over 18 points per game, and this season, she's still putting up 16.6. Sounds solid, right? But here's the problem, it's not about the numbers, it's about the fit. Caitlin Clark is the engine now. The offense runs best when the ball is in her hands, the floor is spaced, and everyone's moving off her playmaking. But Mitchell still plays like she's the primary option, holding the ball too long, over-dribbling, and slowing the tempo to a crawl. When Caitlin runs the show, the Fever's offense hums. When Mitchell takes over, the flow dies, the spacing disappears, and defenders know exactly what's coming. She's not the catch-and-shoot weapon you want next to Clark, and defensively, she's still a weak link. Opposing guards hunt her in switches, forcing Caitlin to pick up extra defensive work her body can't afford after that groin strain in July. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room, she's heading into unrestricted free agency, asking for max money. But if Indiana's building around Clark in Boston, why sink big dollars into a player who refuses to adjust her game to fit the system? That's not leadership, that's ego, and it's slowly choking the potential of this team. Number 2, Damiris Dantas. When Indiana brought her in back in 2024, The blueprint was simple. Bring toughness in the paint, grab rebounds like your life depends on it, and space the floor just enough to keep defenses honest so Caitlin Clark could carve them apart. But here in 2025, the reality is nowhere close to the plan. She's giving the Fever just 5 points and 2.4 rebounds per game, while shooting under 38% from the field, numbers that are brutal for a forward who's supposed to finish inside and knock down open looks. Her rotations are slow, her transition defense is sluggish, and when the game gets tight, she fades into the background like she's not even there. And for Caitlin, whose entire game relies on quick reads and instant spacing, Dantas's hesitation is a killer. That half-second pause before shooting, that extra dribble instead of a clean pass, it's all it takes to destroy momentum. Defensively, the WNBA demands modern power forwards who can switch onto guards, close out on shooters, and protect the rim. Dantas struggles in all three areas: heavy feet, late closeouts, and quiet communication that leaves massive holes for opponents to exploit. She's not toxic because of locker room drama, she's toxic in the silent way. A veteran taking up valuable minutes, while younger, hungrier players are left stuck on the bench waiting to inject the exact energy this team is missing. Number 1, Natasha Howard. On paper, this was supposed to be the dream signing. A former All-Star, 3-time WNBA champion, proven force in the paint, exactly the kind of veteran presence you'd want alongside Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston to anchor the front court. But in reality, 2025 has been a slow-motion letdown. She's averaging 11.6 points, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. Respectable at first glance, but here's the ugly truth. She's shooting under 41% from the field, and for a forward who lives inside the arc, that's a massive red flag. We're talking missed layups, blown putbacks, short jumpers clanging off the rim, and drives that end in nothing but frustration. Clark's offense thrives when her bigs either dive hard to the basket or stretch the defense with a reliable jumper. Howard is doing neither. She drifts instead of cutting, hesitates instead of attacking, and when she does get the ball on the move, the touch is inconsistent and the urgency is gone. Defensively, it's the same decline. She used to be able to switch on anyone, close out with speed, and lock up multiple positions. Now, at 32, the burst is gone, she's getting beat on the first step, her rotations are a beat too slow, and guards attack her in drop coverage without hesitation. And the worst part? The body language. Shoulders slumped after turnovers, barely reacting when teammates make a big play, jogging back on defense like the clock isn't ticking. Compare that to Caitlin Clark clapping, pointing out mismatches, rallying the team even when she's banged up. That kind of energy spreads, but with Howard, it's silent. She was brought in to be a cornerstone, one of the highest paid veterans on the roster. Instead, she's clogging spacing, slowing the offense, and eating minutes that should be going to players like Michaela Onyenwere or Chloe Bibby, players who sprint the floor, cut with purpose, and match Clark's tempo. Right now, Natasha Howard isn't just underperforming, she's the single biggest obstacle to the Fever unlocking their full potential. And here's the thing, while these 5 names are holding Indiana back, there are players on this roster who absolutely get it. Lexi Hull doesn't need 20 shots to matter. She defends like it's personal. She moves perfectly in the flow of Caitlin's game, and she makes every possession count. Sophie Cunningham might not be the flashiest scorer, but she's fire and loyalty wrapped into one. That ejection against Connecticut on the 15th of March wasn't a mistake, it was a message to the entire league. If you come at Caitlin, you're going through me first. Michaela Onyenwere might still be raw, but in just 14 minutes a game, she's hitting double figures, crashing the boards, and running the floor like every second matters. And then there's Chloe Bibby, not a lock for the long-term core yet, but she brings the exact kind of stretch-the-floor versatility that gives Caitlin room to shred defenses. These are the players who play with purpose, who don't slow the tempo, and who understand their role. They aren't fighting for touches, they're fighting for wins. And that's the difference between building a playoff team and wasting the most exciting era the Fever have ever had. Then you've got Ari McDonald, a complete wild card. When Caitlin was sidelined, Ari stepped up and showed she could handle the spotlight, pushing the pace, making big plays, and giving Indiana a spark. But once Caitlin came back, you could almost see the confidence wobble. The question now is simple. Can she fully embrace being the backup point guard on a team built around Clark, or will ego get in the way and turn her into another problem piece? That's the difference between being a long-term contributor or fading into the background. And that's exactly the crossroads Indiana is sitting at right now. A roster split between players who amplify Caitlyn's game and players who shrink it. Veterans who should be leading but are instead holding the team back, and younger talents who are stuck watching from the bench when they should be shaping the future. And that's the bottom line. The Indiana Fever are sitting on the most talked about player in women's basketball. A massive rookie-driven fan base, cap space, draft picks, and the perfect pick-and-roll partner in Aaliyah Boston, but hype doesn't win championships. Winning comes from making cold, calculated decisions that cut dead weight. Replace hesitation with urgency, and surround your superstar with players who elevate her game instead of dragging it down. This is a championship window, and in pro sports, those windows slam shut fast. No more oversized contracts for underperformers, no more minutes wasted on veterans who can't keep up, no more valuing good vibes over actual production. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to carry teammates who won't match her intensity. She needs warriors who will carry with her. The Fever's future is on the clock, and every second they spend protecting players who can't deliver is a second wasted from Clark's prime. So here's the question: Fever fans, who stays and who goes? Because if Indiana doesn't get this right now, they risk not just losing games, but losing the one player who could have changed everything. This is it, the defining moment for the Indiana Fever. They've got Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying star the WNBA has seen in years, a growing national fan base, cap space to spin, and young talent ready to explode. But none of that matters if they keep protecting players who slow the pace, kill the chemistry, and waste the prime years of their franchise player. This isn't about hurting feelings, it's about winning now. You build around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston with teammates who match their speed, energy, and mentality, not players who hesitate, drift, or disappear when the game is on the line. The WNBA moves fast, and championship windows don't wait for anyone. Every game wasted on the wrong lineup is another step closer to watching Clark carry her talent somewhere else. So I'll ask you, Fever fans, who do you keep? Who do you cut? And how badly do you want to see Caitlin Clark holding that championship trophy in an Indiana jersey? Because the clock is ticking, and the future of this franchise depends on what happens next.